알아 당은 가서 당하는 저 거위기 누가 나 지기 고알야는 아주 거위 당보 기위 동화셔야 나한테 가위 동화셔야 나유 동화셔야 안에 타마치 동화 안 지게 류기 나지 동화 셈강아 제베 동화 대지게 중앙 투배 동화 마초라서 봐 동화 나서 봐 중고레스 디주 차상 안도 자위기 유디 가월 된 리고스네 녀몽 발라된 리고레제 대양은 녀몽 비기 대양 자와 nga sebe nga rashin tu ba zimbi zimba dela den ligores je gyudi den yungure je je da nga du nga de ge sel ya an gyudi mas me ba se gores je da an gyudi nyom mo ba da zewe da zim marik ba de kanis me ba se gore labna da nga me ba se ya de ya ane 동반이 또 별로 겁네 아니 제가 다시 말이 봐 봐서 그래서 지사다 돈이 또 별로 겁이야라 돈이 또 그거래 안 돈이 또 봐라 돈이 가서 또 그래 랍나 인텐션 저와 중화 삼다 전도 지는 거 제바체 아 세방아 라신 주변 다디 아니 가서 나 제바 나신 아니 간에 또 심주체는 제바체는 텐션 저와 중화 삼다 제바체 그래서 어두스체 가서 디고 쉬어서 제가 동아디게 차상 규단 깨려되는 중화 현실을 되는 중국어바 나신 맞아 디기디기한 규단게 현실을 되는 중국어래 제가다 규단게 현실을 되는 중국어는 디기줍탕게 되라 가상도 수tum성어제 자다 진배념내 쇠배념내 안전례념내 너도시네 제고래서 가상 디고 쉬어와 당서
Good morning. So yesterday we spoke about how to meditate on these topics with the first point that we need to investigate, to analyze, is the situation that is to be found in samsara, our own situation, our own experience, as well as that of others. Come to understand firstly by looking at our own direct experience about the suffering nature of samsara, how birth is in the nature of suffering, aging is in the nature of suffering, sickness, death, and so forth, all in the nature of suffering. We can look at a variety of both physical sufferings that we've experienced as well as mental sufferings, mental difficulties that we've experienced. We can also, as we mentioned yesterday, investigate in terms of the suffering that comes from not getting what we want, and the suffering that comes from encountering what we don't want. And some of the many ways that we can and need to investigate the nature of cyclic existence to understand that it's pervaded by suffering. Then, when we have come to some clarity in terms of this reality about a cyclic existence, then naturally, in dependence on that, the mind will turn towards, so where does this come from? What is the cause that has led to this situation? Because suffering results only come about in dependence on causes. And then we investigate the causes. And these are our afflicted minds, which lead to the accumulation of contaminated karma. These are the causes that lead to all suffering experiences. And these have as a root cause, these come about in dependence on a root cause, which is the ignorance of self-grasping. So the first step of the meditation is to meditate on the suffering reality of cyclic existence. The second step is to realize the origin of the suffering. Then, in dependence on having come to see this stream of continuity, that from the root cause comes the afflictions and the contaminated karma is accumulated, and then one suffers. Seeing this, one will want to find out, how can we eliminate this? How can we sever this process? How can we destroy this process? And then the reflection moves on to the developing the antidote to all our suffering. And whilst there are many antidotes, the direct antidote to the very root cause of our suffering is to develop a mind of wisdom, because a mind of wisdom is contrary to the mind of ignorance. And amongst the types of wisdom, the one that is explicitly contrary to the ignorance of self-grasping is the wisdom realizing emptiness, or the wisdom realizing emptiness of inherent existence. Then we need to investigate, so how do I cultivate this mind? Because to realize emptiness, I need to understand what emptiness is. I need to investigate selflessness. And this is done through the presentation on dependent arising. So through reflecting on the presentation on dependent arising, one comes to understand selflessness or emptiness of inherent existence. And in this way, our understanding or our wisdom in relation to emptiness of inherent existence, this grows and develops within us. So this is what most of what we looked at yesterday. We also then looked at that not only does suffering come about in dependence on causes, but so too does happiness. And we then looked at the causes that we need to accumulate in order to achieve happy states. And those causes were the practice of ethical conduct, that of generosity, patience, and joyous perseverance. So that, in brief, is what we looked at yesterday in terms of the presentation on dependent arising. We saw that suffering comes about in dependence on causes, its antidote, wisdom, comes about in dependence on causes, and happiness itself comes about in dependence on causes. Now we can turn to the text and we can look at the third verse. How could those of intelligence not comprehend that the pathway of dependent arising is the very core of your teachings?
And you go chesa the YouTube the Gutinishil combine and Yamne Chapana and Digitinity Yunguriasada. Dunga se delia Kasang Gudan Kin, Yomobalatin Igor, Chesa Yomobadi, Mapanga Bala, Meva Suela, and you on the time about to be Sheracom, and Jamnijo com Dinicine, Bangures Casandico Shurwa, Chesa Denigi Sumbadi to Chebachene and Chike, Denigi Namchuki, Sherap, Denigi. Dunga se tangi dunga gu college kangi of gule gugarlet in the gigu of gudi hako gudima meva suela gom yamim chetan hako hadi hako hadila and kava sigurd hako denigi nisu denjige namsha nyomoba dunga juya gu delet in the yungore said dia hako gudi meva suevana and nyangansuki digi to gore dunga sigores jina gudi Meva Suela, Lam Denet in the Comgores, Denigi Namsha, Chasa, how go at it, how go do, and then Kavas or the Desidinic Kava, Loda Deba, Namchukitini, share of the Deba Kavas or
the first line here, it refers to those who are intelligent. So, what is this? Who is this referring to? Who would be considered to be intelligent? So it specifically refers to those who have a clear understanding of the topics that we have been discussing thus far. Those who understand that all our undesired situations, everything that is unpleasant, that is unwished for, all pain and misery, frustration and annoyance, this doesn't just magically appear. They understand it comes about in dependence on causes. And moreover, they don't only understand it comes about in dependence on causes, they understand this comes from our afflicted minds, with as a root cause the ignorance of self-grasping. So the intelligent, they understand the stream of continuity that from grasping at the self as existing in the way that it appears, that from this ignorance that believes that the way the self appears to exist is how it exists, that is how its appearance is true. From that, anger comes, wanting to protect this self and repulse what it doesn't want, and desire, wanting to draw forward everything that it wants to have go its own way. And in this way, suffering follows. So the intelligent understand this. They also understand that the desired happiness, the states of mental peace and freedom, this doesn't merely come about magically on its own, but also independent on causes and conditions. And those causes and conditions include practices such as ethics, or cultivating such a mind and generosity and so forth, but in particular, developing wisdom realizing emptiness. And moreover, the intelligent understand how to do so. They have a thorough understanding of dependent arising. They know how to meditate on dependent arising, and they are skilled in this. So therefore, those who are intelligent, we can also say those who are wise. And wise refer to those who are both knowledgeable and have experience in that, with regard to that knowledge. So they're not merely just intellectually intelligent, but this knowledge has been transformed or been utilized as a basis for experience. They are the wise, or also they are scholars, this same word. And what are they particularly skilled in? This understanding of dependency in relation to suffering and its causes, happiness and its causes, and how to cultivate the realizations of dependent arising.
Tenjin Jawa Junwe Lam Sirda Nyani Badila, Tenjin Jawa Junwe Lam, and Kiki Timpini Nidu Sigura, just a Tenjin Jawa Junwe Lam Sedila, and the Kavati Kiki Java Che, and the Karakaku Koresin, Tenjin Jawa Junwe Lam Laviandu, and Juki, the Anzo Yomo, but Junsegit. Korea Dunga Yaga Guzawadi, Manzon Na Seba Nga Rashin Juba Zimbati Res, Zan Dipa Meba Pampa La, Tenjin Jawa Chue Tam Chekaso, Nga Rashi Majuba Topiki, Nga Rashi Majuba Topiki, Lam Di Gombaletine, and Di Pango Badi, Hakukores, Pango Baje. Then the Tenjin Jawa Chuma La de Nga said. Ngala Nawa Nashinga, Ranguni Dubaji, Mevas. Narashi Madubainaya, Ngadi Meva Rebes, Meva Marangadi, Palu Tabatsami, Tabatsami, Yavares, Chisa, Tension Joa, Lam said disore. Nga Rashin Madu, Gala Madu, Ranguni to be Tumpe, Tonsanchi, Tassin Chibesena, Tonsanchimato Yomares. In Ngadi Mevares, Meva Marangadi, Payores, and Ganisiors, Lupa Tabats, and Ming. Mingyang Taoye Tsam de Yobare Yes, Deniki Tendige Namja Chamoto Bege, Lamdi, Di, and Mazuki, Nyomo Payaki, that Guzo di Tires.
The Guzo de Chicken.
Nyomo Payaki, Zo Tires, that Nyembo Munedi, Rashin to Bazi, Zimbati, Nyembo Munedi Tires.
Then for us, third and fourth line, the pathway of dependent arising is the very core of your teachings. So here the wise or the intelligent, those who are both knowledgeable and experienced, they understand this presentation of dependent arising thoroughly. And this has led them to have great certainty that the very cause of samsara is the ignorance of self-grasping. Or to express it differently, it's this mind of ignorance that grasps at the self as existing in the way that it appears that creates our entire samsaric experience. So this they understand with great clarity. And moreover, they understand that ignorant mind of ignorance can be eliminated, and they understand how to eliminate it. And that is through cultivating the wisdom realizing emptiness. And this mental path of the wisdom that realizes emptiness, this is what they strive to cultivate and ever strengthen. And how do they do this? Through reflecting on the presentation on dependent arising. So they understand that the self is not inherently existent, and they understand this because they've engaged in the meditation that was described yesterday afternoon. They've looked at firstly how the self appears. And then they've looked for that self, they've sought that self, and they've investigated throughout the aggregates and have not been able to find the self, meaning they come to a realization of selflessness. So they have realized that the self is empty of existing in the way that it appears. And they know this because when they investigate, the self that appears cannot be found. Moreover, these who are intelligent, these who are wise, they don't fall into the trap of thinking, well, if the self doesn't exist in the way that appears, it therefore does not exist at all. The self is non-existent. They understand correctly that that particular self, the self that innately appears to our mind, that doesn't exist at all. But there is still a self that one can speak about, in that when one is not investigating, we can refer to a self, and that self exists. And moreover, they understand how that self exists. And that is also as a dependent arising, but in particular, dependent on imputation by mind. So therefore, the self exists only as an imputation by mind, or merely as an imputation by mind, or the self exists just as an imputation by mind. So here the intelligent, the wise, have come to realize that the actual antidote to all suffering, the actual antidote to destroy samsara in its entirety, is to cultivate within themselves through meditation on cultivate within themselves the wisdom realizing emptiness through the presentation on dependence arising.
Nga rashi madruba tobe tonyu tobe lo kombale tene komyodu ane nga rashi druba zimba di bangore nyomomba bangores inaya ane di zamje na sanjo goban top tu ribes ne sanjo goban top tu mares sesan dela ane kombala sanjo goban tobala da gargomres ne da denga de tonyi tawa namsedi tene tabe tene tonyi sigoroba tene ta le ba sha zam tawa zamse dini inzanda kargomosine janshu sem gombre gomgures jisan janshu sem gomgure janshu sem gombala dene janshu sem da antongi tube shira niga on gombe dene ane sanju goba togoma do janshu sem magomba toni chibu gomba zamgi ane sanju goba togoma le bene jimbe nyamlen kasanga shuban jimbe nyane suje nyane sube nyamlen junje nyamlen che dene samde toni tube shira 딩에 지나 동의도 베셔랍 어디 냠는 제바이네 닝제다 자주 잠닝제데 자주셈 냠는 마제바이네 산여고 봐 토토 말레스 되고 니딘잠 산여고 봐 토발라 아니 윤지기 덴제기 남샤 아니 잠닝제 아니 자주셈 어디 공부를
Den die Kosong, den die Kierpedenzo, die Yang Kengier.
Und die ja die Schelsche oder der dann wo die
They've understood clearly this presentation on dependence arising, and that through cultivating this understanding, their wisdom grows ever stronger. In particular, or specifically, the wisdom realizing emptiness of inherent existence. And whilst they're cultivating and developing this mind ever further, they're experiencing the weakening of their afflicted minds. They're experiencing that their afflictions arise less frequently and with ever less strength. However, despite this rapid progression that is leading towards the complete eradication of suffering, complete freedom from suffering, Buddhahood cannot be attained through this practice alone. So what the skilled practitioners are training in is on the basis of ethics, as well as generosity and patience and joyous perseverance. Those four practices are combined with single-pointed concentration or calm abiding, and the training in wisdom, in particular the wisdom realizing emptiness. So they are training in these 6 practices as we've had described. However, whilst these can and do lead to the complete eradication of suffering, they do not lead to the attainment of Buddhahood if those 6 are not joined by other practices. And the required practices are the minds of love, the minds of compassion, and those being developed into the strength into such a strength that the mind of bodhicitta itself is generated. And then, if these trainings of wisdom are conjoined with the trainings in bodhicitta, then, with those two conjoined, Buddhahood will be attained.
아니 라신 주변 동니 동바당 아니 라신이 마주바 이내야 민양 다여점의 예비기 된지기 남샤당 다 민장 다여점 그 뢰파 다바점 예바 마도 랑원의 주바 매비 된지기 된지 남샤 람곰베 람대다 잠니지 공발에 되네 아니 자슈셈 자슈셈 계기 안데라 된지기 디구노 디니기 심비 토네다 자주 셈다 동요도베 셔라니 냠는 제베 디데네 당의 진보 추진 쇠바 준비 냠는 제제 디 냠는 제바 디다 산지 고방 토야라 유디 공발에 되네 산지 고방 토고바디 개바남기 아니 킹고레스 제산 콘도 추세데 하고고레스 또바레스 제산 디니기 또바엔자 개바 자주 셈바 남기 개바 자주 셈바 남기네 가리 냠는 지고르슨 산지 고방 토야게 된다라 아니 잠니제 자주 셈콤 동요도베 셔라콤 데네 진비님 진바도 수준서바 준비 냠는 지고레스 제산 두스 지고레 제산 디네 인자 산지기 최망부 숭베 낭네 자다 지게 탑람 산지 고방 토예기다 산지 줌네 디기 최송야의 차상 송바디 돈다닝보디 셈제 탐제 산지 고방 토예치 송바레스 지산 셈제 탐제 산지 고방 토예치 송바이자 셈제 탐제 산지 도방 토비 유디 만데 유단见了 对呢 토고wen자 유단 见了 되는 토예 유단 见的 가르세나 다 자주 셈 잠니지 자주 셈다 동요도베 셔랍 아니 디니게 심비토네 추짐다 쇠바 준주 삼대 아이거는 진보 추진 쇠바 준주기 냠는 제들레스 지난 디 개바남 개바나지 하고 캠바 되네 심바데 세보 하고 제되네 개바 자주 셈바데 기 냠는 난고래제래.
The final line in the Tibetan of this verse is our second line. And so here the meaning is that those who are intelligent, those who are wise, those who are scholars, they've come to understand the presentation of dependent arising in both a vast way as well as a profound way. So they've come to understand that it's through reflecting on dependent arising that one can understand the process that leads to suffering, the process that leads to good rebirths, as well as the process that leads to the elimination of suffering and the state of lasting happiness, of liberation from suffering. So this they understand clearly. Moreover, they understand that this practice of dependency, these realizations of dependent arising alone will not lead to the desired result of Buddhahood, but further causes are needed in dependence on which enlightenment will be attained. So here we get so that the previous understanding was a profound understanding. Now it becomes vaster in that they understand independence on additional causes, namely love and compassion developed to the point where bodhicitta is attained. Independence on such causes, conjoined with the wisdom realizing emptiness, Buddhahood will be achieved. So this is a vast understanding of dependent arising, that both the paths of wisdom as well of method or of bodhicitta lead those two, in dependence on these two, the great result of enlightenment itself is achieved. And moreover, these who are of great intelligence understand at the heart of every teaching that Buddha Shakyamuni gave was to lead beings to enlightenment. Whatever the topic was, the motivating essence of that, the heart of Buddha Shakyamuni's intention, was to lead beings to full and complete enlightenment. And this is done in dependence on cultivating wisdom, cultivating bodhicitta. And with that understanding, they can skillfully engage in the 6 perfections, those of generosity, of ethics, of patience, of joyous perseverance, concentration, and sixthly, wisdom, all motivated by bodhicitta.
다 상에 좀nen디기 최송백의 나네 단단다 닝보의 심전 탐제 자위 미유의 심전 탐제 하나 상요고 방토해야 되래 디디도나 송고레스 지상 탈바점 토바이나양 탈바 톱나 소수기 동아 레 자기 어레데 이내양 균 차상 방토요마 매바 쇠요마 그래서네 묘모비 바차 차상 하요레 균 차상 매바 쇠요마 그래서 아니 타바점 토바점이 시지 연된 차상 신요마데 누 마신바 망고요라 하모가 망고요레스 제가 데네자 타바점 토바점이 균 탐제 바야다 연된 탐제 아니 연된 토바규레기 사요마레스 데누 연된 조야 망고요레 제가 상지 고고 토바이나 균 군세 아니 연된 군대바레스 데네인장 아니 예전에야 펜버주야래야 뱀마시기 개체부터 시행에 펜버주 돼야 돼. 뱀마시 개체부터 두고 그래. 제가 자유에게다 돈다 미유조데 심지어 탐지 상기고만 두고 그래서 제가 상기기 상기 좀는 디기 디인자 안데 개바 남기디 캠바제 개바 전주 셈바디 이게 디 상기기 자유 미유 조데 디바 캔 되는 냠는 제다디게 되는 캔제 안데 전주 셈바디게 냠는 지고 그래서 제가 디네자 다 제르면 지게 한줄이야 랍체딜래 아우즈이네 아니 직바레스 제상 아우즈이네 균군세바도 윤대군다 덴바치 고고레스 제상 디자 산제고방 토고고레 제상 디 토바 산제고방 토바라 아니 제 개바전 주셈바 남기 데나신 산유점내디 송바나신지는 냠는 제바나신 아우즈이네야 안데나신 지는 냠는 제고고레스 송고로와 제름 지가 들려야 랍자라 마선데 딩한주 이딩어 최지고 데네데네 산이 데네데네 송요래 지상 개바하고 관디게 데네데네 냠는 지고 자주sem바데 냠는 제고 지상다 두 제베 콘수 제바나신 아운수에 데네 냠는 제고를 해서 송고래
So the intelligent, they understand that the very heart of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings is to lead all beings to enlightenment. That is the final goal. That is the overriding motivation of every teaching, no matter what the topic is. So whilst all beings, we desire to be liberated from suffering, to attain a state of freedom from suffering, even those who do attain such a state, where they will no longer ever suffer again, their continuum is not completely purified. There are still stains on their continuum. And whilst they have amazing good qualities, their good qualities are not perfected. They, for example, they do not have an omniscient consciousness. They do not know all phenomena. So whilst those who have attained liberation certainly do have amazing qualities, they are in no way comparable to a Buddha. It is only a Buddha that experiences the greatest of bliss due to having completely eradicated every fault and perfected every good quality. But most importantly, it's only a Buddha who has the skill to help others precisely in accordance with their own individual personalities. And therefore it's only a Buddha with their omniscient consciousness and their perfected bodhicitta that they can help sentient beings in a way that is incomparable to even those who have attained liberation. So the skilled bodhisattvas, these intelligent ones who are bodhisattvas, they understand Buddha Shakyamuni's motivation. They understand that every teaching that was given so as to guide beings skillfully to the state of omniscience. And with this as their inspiration, they are following the example set forth by Buddha Shakyamuni himself. So here in this verse, Lama Tsongkhapa Rinpoche is encouraging us to do the same. We have a recognition that we need to progress spiritually, that we are far from perfection ourselves. And we should take as our role models the bodhisattvas in this world, who are following the example of Buddha Shakyamuni himself, and striving through the training independent arising to give rise to both the wisdom realizing emptiness and bodhicitta in order to attain full and complete enlightenment.
당보 춘춘은 봐 삼당이 땡이들 야야 찰 당고로 제가 되네 인자 다 잠니지 장수심께 있네 당보 가서는 아주 비즈나 규단建了 되네 이거를 라면서 당보 장수심께 규디 간에 당보 모여송 제가 내가 규디를 봐 장기 야야 좋아요. 근데 나도 동유도 비게 로딩아도 깨야 될래야 규단 建了 되네结果 제가 규단 建的 가르인 바지 당보 제바체 되네가 제바치기 가는 길이 지는 동의도 베셔라지 지상 아주 롭종 가린나다 가로 봐도 베네 랍라로 이치는 당번에 제네 당번에 미니마치데 가하나야 랍제야야야 두고로 봐는 세모이나 당번에 든지 가린나다 할 디나신 안주기네 자주셈 고미하다 동의도 베셔랍게 되네기 땡중이 남샤 람지 냠는 제바디라 규디 당보데 심주체전 델야 춘춘의 야장기장의 야야 도로 지바로 저상으로 지바차고로 봐.
Through the meditations you've been doing this retreat, as well as those you've done prior to coming here, you know that merely sitting on a chair or on a cushion and meditating on how all phenomena lack inherent existence does not result immediately in the realization of emptiness, nor meditating on bodhicitta and trying to develop love and compassion for all sentient beings. Merely engaging in a single meditation doesn't lead to us giving rise to bodhicitta. So what we do all know from our own experience is that this comes about with difficulty. But what we need to understand, this doesn't come about, put it the other way, this doesn't come about with ease. And we need to understand why it doesn't come about with ease, because then we can apply ourselves with the commitment required. So if we think of whatever worldly skills we have, every worldly skill we have developed in this life. We weren't born from the womb able to read and write. This was something we learned over many years. And whatever workplace skills you have, these too, you learned over many years. And it wasn't just about a period of time. There's a specific progression where as young children one goes to kindergarten and then class 1 and class 2, moving up through our schooling and our university education, and also gaining practical experience. So it's not just a passage of time, it's not just repeatedly endeavoring, but it's also training in a specific sequence. So this is the same for whatever skills and intellectual qualities we've developed, as well as whatever physical talents one has, whether it's dancing or playing sport. This all comes about through training repeatedly over a sustained period, but in a particular sequence. So that is something that we all recognize from our own experience and what we observe in the world, and it's exactly the same with what we're doing here. To develop a particular mind takes repeated training, but in a particular sequence. And if we do so, then mind such as bodhicitta itself, as well as a wisdom that realizes emptiness directly, these can and will be attained.
차상아서 심기토네 심기때네 직 삼로당하세 장도 체야마도 내가 저기 현다 믹스기 류종의 토네 체스메 당한 삼류토네 장도 체야를 제바체 되네 네 곰 제디 디르와 당보 안 제바체 당보 안 고심바로지 당보 제바로 되네 제바체 되네 두 전에 당보 디레샤 니바 디레샤 숨바 디그로샤 삼당타 림바로지 되네 당보스 림바데 하고 와체 당보가 저 제바지 간에 제월스 제바데 제바지도 어떤 당보 디레 니바 디레 림바데 하고 와체 되네 림바데 하고 차위 제라 하는 저기 당보 림바 당보들이야 삼당 야지 공잡 야니바들이야 삼당 공잡 되네 숨바들이야 공잡 두치되네 삼노디 림바디 고수 니바디 슈처처처 다제 림바딘 조고 차고와
One thing to be very clear on, in order to spiritually develop, what one is focusing on is our minds. This is what is meant by Buddhist practice. It means changing our way of thinking, developing our way of thinking. This is the meaning of Buddhist practice. It's not about doing something physical. It's about changing our way of thinking. This is the meaning of Buddhist practice. And this is done through meditation based on knowledge, meditation based on information. This is the method to change our way of thinking. And so here, remembering with meditation, it has the meaning, it can be equally translated as to familiarize or to habituate. So those terms, to habituate, to familiarize, shows the need for repetition, through going through the same sequence again and again. And that can only be done on the basis of knowledge. One has to first understand what the first topic of meditation is, and how, or the first step within a topic is, and how to engage in it, and thereafter what the second step is, how to engage in it, what the third step is, and how to engage in it. Then, on the basis of this knowledge, one meditates on this, one engages in this analytical meditation, this thinking meditation, where one goes through in the correct sequence, and not just once, and not just sporadically, but repeatedly over a sustained period. And if one does this, focuses one's Buddhist practice on mental development, and does so on the basis of knowledge, and then one meditates repeatedly over a sustained period, our inner strength grows, which means our habituation, our familiarity with these virtuous minds grows ever stronger, and our habituation to non-virtuous minds proportionately weakens.
어디네 인자 당아 저기 돈이 도에기 로 토픽이 로기야야 당보로 지장야로 고로지 가는 수고를 납나 저기 당보 지기 동아디게 삼나시다 당아 저기야 지게 동아디네 나라들이야 소소스 당보 소소리야 동아 용다시 삼다 소소리야 잠잠 근데 심바 제가 루이나자다 강아요하다 삼자 안디 잔다기 생아 저기 토야기 나 저기 미라소바다 안든도라소바 동아 용바데 삼다 근데 동아에 두 세상 삼다 동아 삼다데 동아디게 용도 진 동아디 가르치는 연구를 했을 때 유지를 되는 연구 유가니스의 연구도 선배게 유리야 심주체야도 내가 도 삼다베는 당아서 소소리야 삼다면 소소 콘로스다는 인디젤이야 아니 이게 샹야 가소레 직주와라 다 동변의 묘도제 돼야 돼 동 인디제는 소소리야 샹파지라도 샹예 수지라도 마기와 차야다 아는 저게 누제는 콘로디게 슈처처 로비게 기디나 데네도나 마기와 차야 아는 저기 미 남용아도 조보 배 tum부로 쉬어외나 소소 콩으로 쉬우잖아 지디 니겐진의 조보들이야 계시에 야보시 마셔봐 남규에 야보마 된바 파쇼디게 수 야보시 지기시에 시나 시라야 마셔봐다 안디네 제디 강한 몰레디 소소 콩으로 사용도 콩으로 들을 규들을 리도 와서야지 다디 제사 콩으로 세대 녀모 바래야지 아직 착배 온게 되네 되샤 계도 되네게 되네 동아디 내용도 제사다 대성은 저게 락바락바가 하고 두루와다 콘롤에도 소소를 제일 강아 용우바데 나도 세부하고 두루와 제자가 소소게 착와치 몰래에 한 강알리기바데 나도 세부라 하고 두루 제자 되네 전에 두스는 락바도 바다 봤습니다 안 되네 와서 당아 저 리주에 대한 안에 가르를 때는 주었 녀모 가르 데니기 류디레 강알레디 류디 요바엔자 아니 네나자 용아야 당 강아 먹부터 리그도스 지산 디 규카를 된 리고레세네 대야 안에 또 안에 파메기 안에 나주기 지게 뭐데 고라 뒤발에 때는 아주 류디 두고 와레스 지산 디 주에 대야도 심주체에 디 주에 당보 데니기 아주 류디 되는 주고 와레스 지산 데니기 주에 규디 아니야 싸와 투어도 대야 파만이 편진 파 차바치 디니 차고 왕기 아니 지기 조아체 발라 디니 줍디 바치레샤스 제가 디네선 규디에 미자와 착베규레 되샤 착베규레 기도 하스 야다 되스 차르친 바레 되스 야 싸와 두고 그래 디네 조안자 제가 당한도도 전에 나주게 류주야다 강은 진짜 녀만 발레 된 리기도스 자디야 나주신바 당보 삼다나리 두스타이르샤
그러니까 지금 담보 동편이 좁히기
동이도에 당보 림바 가와는 고주 그래 당보 삼다나 당보 가와는 고주 그래서는 되네야 고주다는 시골
이게는 동편이 좁히기 체를 야서 림바 담보 두명이 콜라삼 그래
어디서 동보이 도로 깨와라 당보 삼다에 당보는 가서 동반이 삼다는 기가 말이지 진짜 당보 삼다다데 당보 동화지기 동화나서 삼다 데 동화지기 파당아도 고고만 동화들 타고 거래 동화의 유삼다도 동화의 유념 발레는 기도서 되네 삼다야레스 이바 고 림발 마소나
그렇죠. Hopefully through this retreat on dependent arising, an understanding of the importance to realize emptiness has arisen, but in order to actually realize emptiness, to develop the wisdom that realizes emptiness, if we try now to put all our energy into meditating on the emptiness of inherent existence, you'll really struggle to have much success. And that is because that is not the starting point for the meditation. We need to go back several steps before in one's meditation, one engages in reflecting on the emptiness of inherent existence. So what is then the very first step that leads to being ready to meditate on emptiness? And that is to first reflect on suffering, or to express it differently, to reflect on the suffering experiences that pervade cyclic existence. So this is the first step that one starts with one's meditation. And one starts with meditating on one's own experiences of suffering. So one doesn't think about what one observes in the world, but one's own experience with oneself. And here we can think about physical suffering, mental suffering, whatever oneself has experienced. And then one can very easily take our attention then to others, but we start with ourselves and think of the suffering that we observe in other humans as well as in animals. So that's the first step. Meditate on the suffering we've experienced and then what we've observed in those around us. Then when we have some understanding of suffering, naturally we're ready to go to the next cause. What is the next step? What is the cause of suffering? And again, if we think that now we think of some of the illustrations that we did in the first step when we're meditating on suffering. We think about when I'm angry, how do I feel? I'm not peaceful, my mind's not spacious, gentle and loving. I'm angry. And then I end up speaking abusively towards others, speaking to them in unkind ways, saying things that I later regret. The person I'm speaking to, their mental peace is destroyed, their good day is destroyed, and they may well respond to me in a similar way, and we both end up getting angrier and angrier, and perhaps I even end up losing my friend. We probably have experience of this. So now we pull to our mind, or call to mind, such an illustration which comes about in the first step, and now in the second step, what is the cause of this? The mind of anger is what caused this disharmony. The mind of anger is what caused this suffering. And anger is an afflicted mind. So here we identifying the cause of our suffering, which is an afflicted mind, particular anger. And likewise, if we think of an example with attachment, where we wanted things to go our way, and we maybe pushed others aside, maybe even took advantage of others, manipulated events, because we wanted things to go our way. And why did we create such suffering? Due to an afflicted mind, in this case, attachment. So in this way, in the second step, based on our own experience, we can come to understand the cause of our suffering as being afflicted minds. And we start out with illustrations like this because they're easy to understand. But this then, to be able to really transform our mind, we have to go to subtler levels. And therefore, there is this need to repeatedly, over a sustained period, do these meditations. Because as one gains experience and clarity on coarser levels, one will naturally, one's meditation will go to subtler and subtler levels. The sequence is the same, thinking about suffering, but subtler levels. Thinking about the causes, subtler causes. And in this way, there's a progression. And one further illustration to give, and that is our body. This is a basis for suffering. It's because we have this body that we experience physical suffering, such as illness. So then we can reflect on times when we've been ill, whether it's just a discomfort or we've been experiencing a severe illness. So that is the first step, suffering. And we've pulled to mind an example. And now, what is the cause of this? So we can say our body, but what is the cause of our body? Well, the cause of this body is because our parents slept together and we were conceived and we were born. Without that happening, we wouldn't have this body. So that's clear, we can understand that. But why then is it said that this body is contaminated? And this is because that cause of our parents sleeping together came about in dependence on attachment, our parents' attachment for each other. So due to their attachment, that cause was contaminated. The result was contaminated. So therefore, this is a body that is a basis for suffering. And why? So to repeat this, because the cause is contaminated, the afflicted mind of attachment, the result is, which is the body, is too contaminated, is also contaminated. Because the cause is contaminated, its result is contaminated. And therefore, this body is a basis for suffering.
아니 가지고 착각해야지 간스 연구도 가지고 나게게야지 녀모부터 간스 연구도 야다 양자지 야 따말야지 심주 제발나 딱 알리고서 가지고 콩으로 살에 갈리고서는 담보 가서 섬나 가서 나 세셔다 진짜 나라 그 얘기도세 지금 내가 가지고 나 미지기 직주를 하네 가지고 섬나 가서 나라야 그 직주를 하기도 사지 나고 나서 짐바치리고 그래 진짜 나라야 그 나라 직수를 앞서서는 되는 바 코르자 그래 나라야 그 균지치기도 나라야 그 동료놈기도 세 담보 맞은데 끼고 그래 진짜 맞은데 끼네 되는 나라 뇌기도세네 되는 바 코르라데 디끼고 그래 디나신 당아도 차박해야 되베네 나보 나세 나지 나진 끼죠 나라 잘라디 고고도 나라 디고고도 나라 되는 차박해 나 대바고도 나 지게 칼라나 심을 잘라나 디고스 나보 나세 나진이 기월 제가 나진이 끼네 나델 끼네 디게나 유델 미 디고스 유델 때 되는 유델 차박해 디슈처셔 줘야다 나보 나세
나타기 걸어서
나세 나보 나세 지고로 나라 칼라 심을 사고도 나라 잘라디 고스 나보 나세 나진이 기도 와 나진이 끼네 되는 유델 미비게 미네 대라 유델 차박해 진짜 나보 나세 나로 그 누구도 세대 나진이 끼네 되는 나라 그 누구도 세대 되는 발라 코르기도 와 진짜 니네 yang ngaje je be den ta nga se nga yin de ya hu yu nga ko le ya yo de sim di ni ji ne xian le tong ju de ya nga je je ji san du su de nga je je da cha bu je da kong do je da cha san du ji jim ju je ba na da nga se be nga sin di ki ho re nga sin di gi jin je ne nga zo le an du je ne de le de ne kong do je da de cha je da nga je je da nyom bo ri an mi ko ta ya zun xie de cha san de le de le ho re ji san da ni nga zo nyom mo ri cha san je da bo nga se be nga jin de le li ho re se de.
Let's take the meditation with the same 2 points to a subtler level. So in the first point, when we reflect on suffering, we reflect that the mere arisal of an afflicted mind is suffering, because it destroys any happiness and peace. If we experience anger or frustration or pride or attachment, desire, this destroys any mental peace. So this is suffering, and it's a subtler understanding of what is meant by suffering. And then we go to the second level. What is the cause then of my suffering? In other words, what is the cause of my anger, the cause of my attachment, the cause of my pride? So here we now, in the second step of the meditation, just like before, we investigate the cause. So we're recalling a time when we were angry, when we were desirous, when we were proud. And we think to ourselves, when we recall, for example, an event when someone said something unkind to us, when someone said something harsh to us, when someone belittled us or criticized us, spoke to us in an unwanted manner, what arises in our mind naturally is, I was harmed by what he said. And then we become angry with this person. We become frustrated, annoyed. We want to repel them, push them away, because I was harmed. His expression to me was unacceptable. He deceived me. So what we see with this illustration in relation to anger is that there is a sense of self which is grasped at. The self that appears in a particular way as truly existent, as inherently existent, is believed to exist in this way and therefore needs to be protected from harm. The process is the same with attachment. When desire arises for something, whether it's for something material, an object that one desires, or whether it's a wish, a thought, a view, where, for example, we want the world to be in the way that we believe it should be. Whatever it is that we desire, when we want things to be in accordance with our wishes, where does this come from? So here, this mind of attachment is a disturbed mind. It's a mind that's dominated by getting what it wants. And who is this wanting? This is the sense of I again arising. I want this. I want the world to be in accordance with my wishes. So again, we have this sense of I that we are grasping at, or the self that we are grasping at as existing in the way that it appears. And from this comes our attachment. It's the same with pride. When we feel that, look at this person, I am much better than them. In this particular area, my quality far outseeds theirs. So this is arrogance, based on our good qualities, my good qualities. And once again, there's this appearance of self that is grasped at. So here we see with anger, with attachment, with pride, and it's the same with all the afflicted minds. They come from this root cause of self-grasping. This is the root cause of all our afflicted minds. All these minds that cause us suffering and destroy any hope of lasting peace or happiness.
Deso Yoya Kudi Kares, Mas, Social Gula, Mas, Nazi Yobadi, or the Jepa Jerua Dini Samta. Da Nib Denegi Jell, Yakasam does, Nas and Nasish doos. Chisan Delia, Nas, some Delia, Madi Ganesh Nangudus, down Dijeva Cherda, Madi Ganesh Nangudu, Pumbo Dinalia, Chinangude, Pumbo de Loso, Chinangudu, Ganesh Nangudus, and do Simjuchedim. Only Simjuche, the Anzolia, Karanangos, and do something else, Sosara and Sosara, some time, do some say some time do. Nadi, Pumbota, Delia, Jehovah, Medic, Korachi, Loso, Chiova, which is Nangor, Anzolia, Nangor, Dennis. Chesandi, did now an ashin, on Anzugi, said this Sinchine, then Zingore. Chesandi, Zimbadi, Narashi to Zimbasi. Chesandi, Anzugi, that Jeva Chedi, Tambonga said, he got a shed and asked Tamboli to us. Chesan said, I had to do it, and asked some again, didn't a Kalasa to say. Said again, didn't do a contra disination. Chesan said, it didn't know that, and said, Ganesh to my lawyer, Ganesh Nangudu, said that Niba Jevache did it. That's also do sometimes, and said, the social Ganesh Nangudu, Shevache do Chinem. That said, so Pumbo Tile, Loso, Shankala, Mato, Colomoni, Drup de Nangorda, Nangore. On did now a nashing Anzugi, did Zingor, that didn't Zingore. Nas with Zimbabwe, Anzindi didn't Zingore. Jesan did Zimbabwe, not treated, Lolo Shesha, Jesan Dele Denzin La Wanga, Demba to be Denzin La Wore. Jesan did that no more boyos our did water.
On this round of the meditation we've just gone through, where we investigate suffering through seeing how the afflicted minds cause suffering, and then we investigated the cause of the afflicted minds, the self-grasping. This then we need to investigate now in a finer detail. So we're taking the same meditation and we're just going down to a subtler level. So we can start with, for example, when we're feeling ill. So that's an illustration of suffering. And then if we take this illness to a subtle level, really on the mental level, it's I am ill. And maybe we're feeling sorry for ourselves, maybe we're feeling it's unfair, maybe we're anxious because of the obstacle that this is preventing us from doing what we want to do. So here we have many illustrations of our suffering. So now where does this come from? So it's a sense of I am sick. My wishes are not going to be fulfilled because now I'm too sick. And we come to the point we were at before, where we're identifying that this sense of I that we are grasping at, it's from this that our suffering comes, that our afflicted minds come. So now we need to reinvestigate this. So now we're starting a whole new level of the meditation. And now within this part, where we're investigating selflessness, the first step then of this part of the meditation is to gain some clarity on how our I appears to us, or how our self appears to us, our sense of self. And so this is the first step, and it's an important step. Try to get a feel for how our self appears. And as was mentioned yesterday, it appears as if it is independent. In other words, that nothing influences it. Nothing can influence it. It's independent. Or to express it in another way, it appears separate or isolated from the world. So this is how the self naturally appears to us. So when we see that, we then look at what happens, and we see that there's a mind that grasps at this appearance, that believes this appearance, that takes this appearance to be true. And this is a wrong consciousness, because this isn't the self. This isn't how the self exists. Therefore, it's a wrong consciousness. It's an ignorance. And it's an ignorance that is grasping at the self. So this is why we talk about the ignorance of self-grasping. Or to express it differently, it's an ignorance that grasps at the object as being true. In other words, as existing in the way that it appears. And this is why there's a synonym, the ignorance of true grasping. So it's from this wrong consciousness, this completely deluded mind that believes that something that doesn't exist at all is completely correct. This ignorance that grasps at the self as being independent, as being separate in the world, separate from anything else and independent. It's from this that all our afflictions and suffering comes. What is how the description on how the self appears to us as being separate from the world, as being independent, is actually how every phenomenon appears to our mind. But here we're talking about specifically investigating selflessness. So when we see how the self appears, the second step of the meditation is to say, well, if the self exists independently, if it exists separate from anything else at all, if it exists separately from everything at all, and it cannot be influenced by anything at all, which is how it appears, then that should be findable. And now we go to the second step of the meditation, which is or the second step of this part of the meditation, which is to investigate and seek out the self, to find it. And so this part of the meditation we heard about last night. So when we start investigating for this inherently existent self, the only place it really can be, if it exists in the way that it appears, is here with our physical and mental aggregates, not elsewhere, but here. So we start with the body, and we look through the varying body parts, and we divide up our body mentally and to see if there's any part that we can say, wherever that part of my body is, that is where myself is, because that part of the body is the self. And we'll come to see there's no part of the body that we can identify as being the self. And if it's not the body, the only other place it can be is with the minds. So our physical and mental aggregates. And here we can investigate our minds in many ways. We can say, for example, when I'm suffering, there's a strong sense of self then, so is this feeling of suffering, is that the I? It cannot be, because we always have a feeling of I, but we don't always suffer. And likewise with happiness. Unfortunately, the happy feeling is not the I, because if it were, it would be independent, not influenced by anything at all, and therefore would never change. But that's not the case. We are not always happy. So we investigate like this, and slowly into finer levels, subtler levels, and we come to see that no particular no particular consciousness or any part of our consciousness, in there can we find an inherently existent self. Can't find it. So this means our body is empty of an inherently existent self. Our mind is empty of an inherently existent self. That means the self is empty of existing in the way that it appears. It's empty of existing inherently. And we know this because we've looked and we cannot find it. And as we do this again and again and again, we're looking at subtler levels as our skill and experience increases, and we're still never finding anything that can be identified as the self. We know then the self is empty of inherent existence. And the mind that knows this is a mind in accordance with reality. So this is a wisdom. And in particular, it's a wisdom that has realized emptiness. It's a wisdom that has realized the emptiness of inherent existence.
Di hago yodu ane garse wasan deshi ngazo le nga rangmun de tube nan de na wa na ji zimbe de lo di da lo xie le xia lo no zhui xia se wa hago du go le zhe da lo no lo xie za ko bang ya du sta ko za wa ni me ba sui ya du sa hago ge du tar ba se tu gi ba da hago yin hago ba tar ba se dong ni de ni ma do ba do tar ba se de hago an zhe tar ba yo ro ma do la ma do tar ba ngone de hago du go ma de ni ge dong ba ni do du nga se rang won de juba de zao ge min dong sa chi ma do min du se be do de de ji nga rang won de juba na wa na ji jin ba de da lo lo xie le xia de de ko pa ya du de pang be pang ba di da pang tu ya du se me tong de tar ba se de ha gu ji san tar ba se de ne ha gu de ni tar ba di da de ne ya tar ba to be ge da lam gar ko gu re se de lam xian da ni dong yu do bi de lo di ni guan ni ya ne ya do gom ya da di ya ge zhuo ya lai ro ba da ma de jin ba chu zhe ba zhen lu nyam le jia di di qie hu du se de ni ge rin bi nyam le jia rin ba nam xia de be se wu shu ha hu tu go de ne ha go ne nyam le qie du de ne go be ne wa da lam ga ji zhuo ba dang bo ga ne zhuo go ha mo ne ba ba zhe go la de chu su su go la de ne lam ga de zhuo ba de ne ma zhuo ba se bu ha go se ne de ne ma lam ga de zhuo ya lu ne mo da ma su zhuo bu shu da yo ro 지선 당보 남가도 줘서 한 먹어들이야 꼬라 잡티니 심주시 제야들 고구로와 지나 바로 수도 되네 하고도 되네 교보 다시 줘도 교할래 투로 아니 나신한 저기 되니기 제바 제제 세우지 하고도 되네 냠는제 고주요도 냠는데 지 야야야 님네 야야 주고로와
사포고서 이네 저 die tongni de ha goye la sopa den inga so lam tropiki de piere lam dan kongi ropa pena sutum la sopa ini de ganga jampa ninje labgare
jampa ninje gel labgare
좋지. So at this point in the meditation, one has come to see that the self is empty of inherent existence. The self does not exist in the way that it appears as inherently existent. And the mind that has understood this is a wisdom understanding or realizing emptiness. And with that understanding now, we know based on our experience that this other mind, which is the mind of ignorance, the ignorance of self-grasping, that is a wrong consciousness. We don't now only know this based on knowledge, based on hearing, but we know this now experientially. And that has a profound impact, because before what has been motivating us to do this meditation is our knowledge and some experience that we've got through doing these meditations. But now when we come to this understanding that the self really does not exist in the way that it appears, that has a powerful impact on one's mind, because one knows with clarity of experience and knowledge that the self does not exist truly, and that our ignorance of self-grasping is a wrong consciousness. And with this confidence and conviction, the strong wish, or rather, with this conviction, we know that liberation is possible. And we don't know this only based on knowledge, but we have come to see that the cause for liberation, the wisdom realizing emptiness, this is a valid mind, and the cause of all our suffering, the ignorance of self-grasping, is a wrong consciousness, and therefore can be eliminated. And now with a certainty and confidence, one will strive to cultivate this path of wisdom, to develop a mental path of the wisdom realizing emptiness, supported by its associate companions, the minds of ethical conduct, of generosity, of patience, choice, perseverance, and concentration. So those 6. We will wholeheartedly want to strive to cultivate these within us. And how we can relate to this from our own experience is if we're needing to go somewhere that we haven't been before, and if we have no directions, no map, no clue, but we just wander off, hoping to arrive at some destination, we'll just end up wandering around, wasting our time, getting frustrated, and we'll give up without ever arriving. Here what we see is that through gathering knowledge, putting that into practice, gaining experience, continuing to develop knowledge, continuing to put this into practice, gaining ever more experience, we will come to gain a certainty based on both knowledge and meditative experience. And then we will know with certainty, without any doubts, that liberation is possible, and that we understand the method to get there.
타고도 선배 삼로 레오도 동안들 타고도 선배 레오도 안데 가르쳐서 동안데 유간의 리그도 줄이야 제바 제고래 줄래 제바 맞아봐지 맞아 동안 야냥 삼단 디야 현달라 삼마다지 줄이야 삼마다 동안데 야네 삼단데 되네 배 셈을야 교차당 부수도 거차다 이목차에 된 샤고래 디 줄래 삼마다 유 아니 동아디 레어데 되네 안 가시기 안지기 창아라 동아사야 아니 지기 타마라테 안 가sam질라 가시기 라시게야 제고를 저 동아디 삼배 숙치모 지부 삼다 디기 유간에서 줄이야 삼마다와제 디 너르샤고래 지산 동아디 삼다 숙치 동아디 타르게 삼바 타고도 서베 숙게요도 디 줄이다 동아디 영서 줄이 가려 연구도 세바 줄이야 제바제 나는 저기도 제대로 공조당 나게다 녀모들 이거 제바제 마 다되네기 레바나 되셔 공조 나게디 디규가라 되네 용도스 갈리드네 용도스 지디 나 세베 나 라신 집에 짐바들리기도스 델이야 하고 진짜 당 하라신 짐바데 델레가 가는 난구도 호 가는 징구도스 세데 파제바제데 나 세데 가라에 마도 랑문으로 나나 징거래 되네 짐바데 통요도 디 짐바 나시 누에 민두스다 제바제다 다 예나 야는 가서 수부 나로 요거래 야는 셈이 나요 야는 수부 되네요 야는 수부다 마트비 치료지와 요거래 지 요거로와 지도세디 치료는 예나 지가 말가스네 가서 메나 미 가서 수부디 메나 미 요락 말와 제가 되네 치료는 메다 다 예나 가서 수부 나로 요거래 지도 수부 되네 나디 랑 갈라마 랑문을 주변 하셔야지 자오기는 예매돼 다 세미나도 제바제 세미다는 예매도 제가 나 세야돼 랑문을 주바 자오기는 미두세데 되네 하고 거래 되네 하고 이제 나는 랑문을 주바 매와서 나 매와레베슨 나 매바 말에 나디 파로에 풍벌 파大把怎么有吧的，这是电信这话就碰破了电的大把有，碰破了电的有吧的嘛都，他刚来也没对吧？啊，现在没民族，这上干的都是能现到碰破了，对吧？在电的有吧的是对吧？电那个电的有吧的，也是第二个图过的，电那好过是 oh, that did it, that's the Lodi, Maharashin to Bezimizim, Notre Della Deligua, that Dimia was so good. Cesa, Narashi Modopo, Lodi, Yane, Yano, Kumkoyano, Code, Nuba Shukcher, Kaze, Shukcher, Drovene, the she Rashi Yobas and somebody, Ma Nuba Chun Shurore. Then Nuba Chun Rode, Deladine, Nazule, Nala Nudu, Nala Chichi Good Sebe, somebody, Nas, Shukchun Rode. And Delia Malanu Simpiki, Delia Contokia de Ungo Mare, and Chungure, Desha de Chungu, Naja Chungu, Chazan do in Yomo Chungu. It's not done to give. Don't you do pick Tower, Gulekia, Tambo Cheva Chetan, Jimbarosi, the nation sometime I did it. What
has been described here then is the stages, the sequence. The stages, the sequence that one needs to cultivate in order to develop a mental path of wisdom. So this is a specific sequence that one needs to engage in this correct sequence, repeatedly over a sustained period. So if you're wondering, but why do I need to meditate on suffering? Why is that the starting point? Because we all have an appreciation to some degree that we don't like suffering, we don't want to suffer. So we probably don't really want to think about it. But this is a crucial first step, and we do need to start there. There's a reason why each of these stages is presented in the specific sequence. So we start by meditating on suffering, because independent on that, naturally a strong mind arises wishing to be liberated from suffering. And the subtler our understanding becomes of what is meant by suffering, the more profound this wish for liberation will be, because the subtler understandings we have of what is meant by suffering, the second step of the meditation that comes from that, what is the cause of my suffering, that understanding of the causes of suffering will grow ever subtler. And therefore, the understanding of what needs to be abandoned will grow ever more clear to one's mind and more profound to one's mind. I mean, to come to this, to go through the sequence, it was mentioned that we need to meditate first in the first person, we need to gain experience for ourselves, and in addition to this, thereafter, we can observe what we see in the world, animals and humans, and gain ever subtler understandings of suffering, or a broader understanding of suffering rather. And if one goes through this process, one will be developing the skill and the wisdom, the knowledge, or rather the knowledge and the skill to develop the actual antidotes to suffering. Because what people generally engage in, so as to repel suffering, doesn't work. It just makes it worse. When we suffer, we respond with argument, we respond with anger, or we drink or we take drugs to try and relax and to ease the suffering and the pain. But none of these bring any lasting peace or happiness. None of them. And one only engages in such responses because of a lack of skillful investigation. So if one is, to the extent that one responds in this way, shows to the extent that one still needs to investigate. So one needs to, as we said, start out by meditating on suffering and then its causes. And as one progresses, one will look at the root cause. Where do these afflicted minds come from? The ignorance of self-grasping. And what does this mean? And then we continue as was described earlier. How does the self appear? We need to look at this again and again, ever slowly, ever gaining greater clarity, that the self appears to be something that's independent, not influenced by anything at all, separate from everything separate from everything else. And if it exists in such a solid, independent way, it should be findable. And then we investigate. We investigate in the body, we investigate in the minds. We don't find it. We find that it's empty of existing in the way that it appears. But we still speak about a self. There's a self that is doing that meditation. There's a self that is coming here, going there. So how does this work? And this also in our meditation we need to be clear on. There is a self that we talk about, and that self we talk about and we think about is always in relation to a physical body. If we're saying, I'm sitting here, there needs to be a body sitting here, or I'm going there, or I've come from there. There needs to be a body to have been engaged. So there needs to be a body. Moreover, there needs to be a mind, otherwise we couldn't call it a person, just a corpse. So there are these two, a body and a mind. But within either or both of these, we cannot find what we were seeking, which is a self that exists in the way that appears. We've looked in the body, we've looked in the mind, cannot find this. There's the body and the minds are empty of a truly existent self. Rather though, our mind merely imputes self onto the collection of the aggregates, onto the body as well as the mind. Onto this collection, we impute self. But that self that is merely imputed or just imputed, it's not inherently existent, it's just imputed. It's merely imputed. So if we engage in this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, we become ever more habituated to this way of thinking. And this means, through the habituation to wisdom, our mind of wisdom grows. And as the mind of wisdom grows, the corresponding mind of ignorance, of self-grasping, weakens. And the stronger our wisdom grows, the weaker our ignorance grows. And the weaker our ignorance is, the less frequent and weaker the resulting afflicted minds are. And therefore, the less we suffer. So therefore, I encourage you to engage in this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, and then transformation will come.
jamni ji ge de da den de namsha lam sang yu go ba tho ba la din nyam le ma che ba sang yu go ba tho ya ma de an yu dan jian le din de jung guo de ji san yu dan jian le din de chung an sa dang bo nyam le ji lang gan es go zu re gan es che hu re sa de sam da da rin ba ting a zui ni ho jab lo ba xue ya xie.
To emphasize here, my request is that you engage in this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period and in this correct sequence. That is imperative. Go through these stages again and again and again, not skipping any. So this is then the sequence to meditate on emptiness, to give rise to the wisdom realizing emptiness. Then this afternoon, we will continue looking at dependent arising, but we will look at it in relation to attaining the result of bodhicitta. Because independence on bodhicitta, which is the cause, leads to a result of enlightenment. And this cause for enlightenment, bodhicitta, it too is a result that comes about in dependence on particular causes, minds such as love and compassion. And these two, whilst they are the causes for bodhicitta, the minds of love and compassion are also results dependent on previous causes, preceding causes. So this is what we'll look at this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.